Hello, I'm Karma. I'm sure after playing the game for a couple while, everyone is quite familiar with the big problem lurking inside anime defenders. It's been talked about many times before and has been memed on a lot, with a popular nickname being given to the game, the most popular being alt defenders. Yes, this is indeed true. With the community being fed up with all these alt macro players, able to use alt accounts to gain considerable amount of rerolls and gems which they can then use to buy both shiny and secret units on their mains. The devs have finally released their stance on alt farming with the new update 2. They have stated that in update 2, everything will change for alt farms. Though whether players will be able to find new ways to create alt farms, or if the devs will finally crush them for good, remains to be seen. But I'm not going to be discussing alt farms. No, I will be discussing the main contributor to the growth of alt farms. But before we start our discussion, please consider hitting the subscribe button if you are new. Make sure to hit the like button on this video. Let's try to aim for 20 likes, maybe? And comment down below if you agree with my statements. Whether you agree, disagree, or are neutral, it doesn't matter. Just comment down below. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, then maybe I'll host a giveaway. 50,000 gems? Perhaps? But anyways, enjoy the video. As I previously mentioned before, Anime Defender's biggest problem is the massive amount of alt grind farming. At the start of its release, I believe this issue wasn't as prevalent, as many players including myself did not realize the existence of alt farming. Only later did players find out, and continue to abuse this method did it truly get out of hand. As you know, the way to get as many gems and rerolls is simply getting multiple alt accounts up, and then grinding the first infinite wave by using the simple macro setup. With this setup, players are able to accumulate both gems and RR very quickly. This method of becoming the strongest and being able to instantly get any and all mythics would quickly turn this game into another mindless AFK simulator. An AFK simulator it was. And with the release of the game on it to its first update, players have already heavily abused this method, and the damage has already been done. While the release of Update 1 had the developers make a patch to this macro problem, which was making every single spawn location and camera angle different each time you load into a story or infinite mode, players soon found a way to bypass this patch, introducing new ideas to abuse, and the developers once again had to quickly patch this new method. What was this method that was patched, you may ask? Well, before, in the lobby, you were teleported to one specific area each time without fail. Players would then use this as a guide to send their ults to play into the infinite. The developers made it so that teleporting to any special area, be it story, summon, challenges, your player model will always face a different camera angle with different spawn locations. Though this did solve the problem for a bit, players quickly found new ways to bypass this very quickly. With these patches were somewhat effective at preventing some macro farms from working, most of the time that does not stop the macro grinding, and even if the macro did fail, players can simply restart and try again. Currently, as I'm writing this script and this video, there is a player count total of 253,392, and after refreshing my Roblox, this has increased a further 2,000 more, bumping up to 2,599. This is a heavily inflated number, more than at least half of them being alt accounts grinding infinite mode. The total actual amount of players playing this game is at least closer to 90,000, but as you can see, the gigantic problem, which leads to my main point, and what I think is the biggest reason to contributing to this grind alt fest. Trading. Now this may seem like a strange point to make, and bear with me here, but I believe that trading is the main cause of this problem. And it's probably why I believe that Anime Adventures was a lot better at managing its trading servers, despite having similar problems. Now, I want to point out 3 main points about trading. 1. How trades work. 2. What you can trade. And 3. Why trading ruined this game. I want to quickly explain how trades work in this game. In Anime Defenders, as of Update 1, trading is only permitted to the level 10 and above. If you are below this level, you will receive a prompt that will tell you as such. Now, even if you have reached level 10, to be able to fully utilize units that you have traded, mainly mythics, You have to be level 20, with level 15 being needed for traded units that are of the legendary rarity. Being below this level will give you a message prompt that tells you as such. I just want to point out the good parts, and then talk about the bad parts. Personally, I quite like this change, and I think this is a great step in preventing ult farms from happening as often. A level requirement which requires you to be a certain level would definitely make it harder to grind on ult accounts, and on top of the heavily nerfed infinite macro farms, makes this game a whole lot better to play. Well, that's all I can say about the good points. Now, let me talk about the bad points. My first point is that I think the level requirement is way too low, and it's exactly this reason why ult farming has continued to prevail. Grinding to level 10 isn't hard. It's not even difficult. If you clear out both the normal and the hard part of the first story map, and parts of the second story map, you'll eventually become level 10 naturally. My idea? Make the level requirement be level 50. Now, you might start telling me, Karma, that's too high. To counter your argument, I say, Anime Adventures had that exact same requirement needed for trading. You can't defend that. Okay then, what about trying to trade fruits to level up mythics? If a challenge doesn't give you the right fruit, then how will we evolve our precious mythics? Well, if you like this game well enough, that means you're highly likely a former Anime Adventures player, aren't you? Then, being one, you should be very familiar with drop rates in Anime Adventures. And they are way lower than the drop rates of fruits. So if you can endure grinding countless hours trying to get that one Gilgamesh portal, then I'm sure you can wait a little bit longer to get the right fruit needed. We are not at the current point in the game where non-evolved mythics are just as capable of beating all story modes easily. Currently, as we are right now, evolving mythics isn't a big priority right now, where normal bosses don't even need fully evolved mythics to defeat. The excuse of convenience isn't a justifiable reason for the levels of trading to be low. This is not even clearly a viable solution to block ult accounts, when it only requires a little bit of grinding to do. Now, let us discuss the second point. What can you trade? Now, this is another massive problem for anime defenders. Oh, in case you didn't know already, I will be comparing anime defenders a lot with Anime Adventures as a reference. Now, back to the question at hand. What can you trade? Well, that's the problem. As long as a unit is shiny, you can trade it. With the exception of limited units and secrets, which don't need a shiny requirement. I want to give this a good point, but honestly, this really hinders the game rather than benefiting it. While it might seem cool that, oh, you can trade shiny units in the game, awesome, it would be fine if the shinies were just reskins of non-shiny units. But the fact that developers themselves personally confirmed that shinies do in fact give a damage boost, 5% I believe, is actually ridiculous. Now, I know that it may not seem like much. 5%! Oh, that's a pretty small amount. It shouldn't boost the damage that much. But it does mean the shiny unit will naturally have better stats overall. Simply put, an Egress with Almighty will always beat out damage by a shiny Egress with Almighty. Which means that having Shiny Hunter, which increases the odds of getting a shiny unit, makes it pay to win. But the problem isn't that shinies are tradable. It's the fact that shiny standard units are tradable. Now, see, this is the problem. Introducing a mechanic that shiny units are tradable rather than limited only means that, well, you know exactly what happens. People can easily buy them, leading to gem prices of units skyrocketing. There's a reason why Anime Adventures only had secrets and limited units tradable. This is to prevent what is essentially inflation onto units. Now, onto the last point I have made. My third and final point is that trading is just completely ruined. I really dislike the fact that developers prioritize this mechanic over something like a play next button. But of course, we just can't remove trading now. We come too far already. It's already become a part of the core game. For all its strengths and flaws, it's just that it just doesn't fit currently with the game that is available to us. As you know, the content that we have is extremely limited. There's just not enough units to trade in this game to justify having a trading system. Anime Adventures, take for example, had 7 updates before trading was even a thing, and even then, what you could trade was very limited, with only unit skins being tradable. After many updates, it is only then when trading could work and prosper, because the game has already had many different updates with many limited units. Overall, I think without trading, this game would be on a similar track to Anime Adventures. Now, I'm not hating on the game or anything. I love this game. It's fun, but there's a limit to how fun this game could be with such limited content. Now, I was on limited time here, so I couldn't write any more points about this topic. With the next update right around the corner, I know the developers have talked about how they will be destroying alt farms for good in Update 2, so I wanted to get this video up and ready before it updated, not realized. If I missed any points or you disagree with any of my points, feel free to comment down below and tell me why. But please, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Karma is out.